goodness, everyone. Another brand new show of Because Cannabis. Thank you for joining us. My name is B.C. Wehman. If you are watching us live on YouTube every Wednesday at 4:20 p.m., that's when brand new shows hit the YouTube channel. It is YouTube/@about Because Cannabis. YouTube/@about. No one, does anyone say @about? Like, what's ampersand? What is the proper Dustin Kava? Good to see you, by the way. What is the proper terminology for that little A thing, and then the one that looks like a taller, like figure 8 musical clef sign? Isn't there proper names for that? There's a name for those things, and we probably should know them. And there's someone right now that's listening that is screaming the answer. Maybe our guest is right now. I'm not sure. Screaming the answer.
What is ampersand? Yes, ampersand's the figure 8
musical clef thing. Yep.
Yes, and I believe the @ symbol is simply labeled as @ the @ symbol, not yes, I think so.
And the inventor of the @ symbol ever realized how deeply used that would be in today's thing? Because I feel like the @ symbol existed prior to email, right? We are really
I don't think so.
Sure. That's why it's Because Cannabis and not because internet.
It's not email. It was considered for the bulletin boards, I thought, when they first first needed to designate usernames. I thought that was a way to separate a location from a person, different types of credentials or naming conventions on networks. But the use of the @ symbol is 30 years old in technology. It's one of the earliest uses.
Well, there was a little history lesson for you. I'm not sure if it's right or wrong, but it is a history lesson for everyone. There's your homework. After you hit the subscription button, after you hit subscribe, you need to go to wherever you're going to go right now, and then you need to clickety-clack on your keyboard and go search the history of the @ symbol. Dustin Kava, last week, it's been 1 week since we were able to, oh, by the way, @MeetWM. Speaking of the @ symbol, I should have probably segued that a little sooner. @MeetWM. That's our social media. We'd appreciate a follow. One of these days we'll post. We'd like to see you on there. Dustin Kava, it's been a week. It's been a week since we announced that somebody sent us something awesome. Dan at King Palm hooking us up. We appreciate that. It's been 1 week. We've got to kind of play around with some of the products. You enjoying them so far?
I love them. You know I love King Palm, so I actually got to smack back a few. I stuffed a few with some hemp, some local hemp.
Yeah, right. Some local hemp. We got some great stuff, multiple size grams, the 1 gram, the 2 gram, the XL, all right, these 3 gram babies. This is like mini cigars. But what I wanted to talk about is included, and I feel like we didn't give a little enough credit to some of the accessories that were included. And I had a chance to go through the packaging since we got together and go through. And so just wanted to highlight a few things. First off, at these really dope long matches from King Palm, right? That is a feeling. I haven't used one of these yet, but I feel like, and I'm not going to do it live on the air here because I'll burn my fingers. Like, that is a cool match. That feels like a match that's meant to light some specialness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got that tactile that you can just tell it has a higher purpose.
It has a higher purpose. Speaking of higher purposes, we have a grinder card in here. Have you ever used these? I'm not someone who uses these a lot. This is a really sweet King Palm card. I imagine.
You know what? It is
kind of like that, right?
Yeah, that grinder cards are not bullshit. I actually have to say that they will grind better than 65% of the grinder pieces of shit that are out on the market today. And a heck of a lot quicker. I can grab a whole handful and in 30 seconds grind the whole thing down, and way quicker than me going through my little spinning thing. If I have arthritis, even a lot of grinder cards separate and position different size holes so you can have different coarseness of your grind. I'm not sure what King Palm's is.
This is just standard, but you can feel on this side the raised bumps of it. So King Palm hooking us up. All right, one more thing.
They're shit.
We got a great guest on today. We're looking forward to having another conversation. One of our few repeat guests, so this will be fun. We'll get to Tamara Anderson. I had all week to practice that. Tamara Anderson from CulinaryCannabis.com, CannaSpaParty.com. Dustin, check this out. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's like a holder for whatever legal tobacco products and such you want to use. Look at the party that's about to happen right now. It is a telescoping holder for whatever you choose to put in there. This This is the dopest thing I've seen in a long time. Like the whole bag of stuff that King Palm sent us. We appreciate your support, King Palm. The whole bag you sent us. This might be my most favorite thing in the entire bag.
This thing I don't understand as it pertains to King Palms is because it's got my filter in there. I can smoke it right down to it, and I don't ever need a clip. So this one is one of those where I'm like, they just knew they had a badass idea with their little telescoping shit. It is not necessary to smoke a King Palm, though.
I think it's a shaming stick, right? This is what I'm calling it, right? So you're sitting there, me and you in there, we're taking these King Palms. I got a nice slim 1.25 grams. We're enjoying some quality hemp product and doing that. And some dude's over here with like a paper thing is like trying to figure it out. And I'm like, do you need a shaming stick, sir? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, King Palm sent us free stuff. Dustin, free stuff is great. I think we all enjoy free stuff. We'll ask our guest in a minute when we bring Tamara on how she enjoys getting free stuff. I like getting a lot of free stuff, Dustin, but is there a line for you on a free stuff thing? For example, I drove down the street today. There was a recliner that was out yesterday during the rain. It's got a free sign on it. I might not be going there. Do you have a free line that you go, I appreciate the zero cost, but nope, I'm not going to take it?
I love my normal swag. So if I went to a convention or something and filled up my book bag with a bunch of random bullshit, I dig it. But my family knows not to fucking give me a damn thing. Do not ask if I want your couch. I don't want your clothes, your shoes, your fucking paintings. I am don't offload the guilt on me. I know you don't want to throw it away, but you ain't going to offload the guilt on me and make me throw it away a year later. Like, don't give it to me. Yeah.
Not
but
happening.
Swag, you can.
Yes. Yeah, how about so Tamara Anderson from Culinary Cannabis? You heard us talking as you're sitting there waiting so patiently. I appreciate it. Do you have a free line? Do you accept free stuff? And is there a line that nope, I'm not going to take it free because it's just not for me?
I like free new stuff. How about that?
Ooh, all right. Now we're talking.
It's free. I'll take it. If it's not free, if it's not new, we don't want it.
Yeah, right. Tamara Anderson, culinaryancannabis.com, CannaSpotParty.com. We'll have links below, which you'll click on after you subscribe. All right, so here's the scenario. This is what made me think of it. And I want each of you to weigh in on this scenario that happened to me. I am in a break room setting at a job, right? I'm in a break room setting in a job. I'm sitting there and someone is across from me. And they are eating their lunch, right? They're eating their food and it looked yummy. It doesn't matter what it was, but it looked good. I was eating fairly healthy. So I'm kind of eating like yogurt and stuff like that. And they say like had broken it in half. So there wasn't even a bite, but they offered it like, do you want this other half? And I didn't. In the moment, I was a little uncomfortable and I said, nah, I'm all right. I'm good. And they're like, no, take it. I'm like, no, I really don't want your free lunch. And they kind of left, I think, a little miffed. Was I in the wrong here? Like, let's replay this. I can't show you the scenario. Maybe it's not quite the verbiage I used, but was I wrong? Should they be offended because I don't want half of their sandwich? It's a perfectly good.
No. Why are you eating somebody else's food? It's not like it's your wife or your kids or I want your heebie-jeebies. Like, no. Right.
Yes, I agree. Real quick, Dustin, you have kids. Tamara, do you have kids? If I may so personal? Maybe. We'll find out in a second. Tamara gets back on there. I have a line, Dustin, as we wait for Tamara to come back. There she is. Do you have kids, Tamara?
I do have kids. One of them happens to be driving.
Drive carefully.
She's driving carefully. And I do have a son as well, but he passed away 7 years ago, coming up this March, but I have two of them.
Well, I am sorry for your loss, and I hope this anniversary is a time of celebration for you and your family. I have a question, though, and not to me a hard pivot to be a little silly. My wife, I'm sorry, honey, my wife will eat food that my kids have already chewed. I feel like that is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Like mama bird style, literal mama bird style. That's too far, right? We all agree that once someone's put it in their mouth, she'll take their gum, their chewed gum, and put it in their mouth. And yeah, right. It is a visceral reaction. I can see the face, Dustin. Is that a line?
You know what? I am not. I don't share food. I won't share it with my wife. But that's really funny because I'm not even going to make the comment, but I will say no. I don't share my food. I don't. My son knows, like, I ain't going to drink out of your cup. Don't be drinking out of mine.
It is interesting. So, Tamara, I have a question for you. Tamara Anderson, we have a connection. She's driving down the road, a very busy woman, Tamara Anderson. This is our second time we've had Tamara on the show. She was on a few weeks ago. So we had a little bit of a conversation, got to know her and her backstory, got to know a little bit about Culinary and Cannabis.com, and got to know a little bit about CannaSpaParty.com. Both of these are kind of these cannabis services where you can come and we can pamper you and create these experiences, these events. Tamara, do you pay attention to like cannabis news and legalization and advocacy? Is that something that's important to you?
It is important to me, and I pay attention to it. And I try to focus on probably the areas that are of importance to me. And necessarily what I'm doing or things that are up and coming. So I'm involved in a lot with healthcare. So a lot of the things that I am concerned or watch about have to do with like healthcare and insurances being able to allow you to have services paid for or reimbursement for those things. Those kind of things are things that are important to me, besides being on the event side and lounges being able to be open, venues being able to have events. Those kind of things are important to me. But I pay attention to the bigger things that are happening and bigger activations that are going on. It's so much of it. There's so much, and it's all the time, and it's different in different places and different states. It's just like with New York, I'm like, did y'all see what we did in California that didn't go right? Can y'all not do what we did and do it the right way? But I think that if you're in this space, you have to pay attention because it's right now involved in and growing things. So if you want to do your due diligence, you need to be paying attention. You need to subscribe to some newsletter, something so you can be up to date, because those changes can affect you and your brand and your business. So yep.
Where are you at on that, Dustin? Do you think it's important to stay up to date in the news and such if you are in this industry, like every state or just your state? Where's the line as far as keeping up with the constantly evolving information in this industry and focusing on your business? Like, do you have that line? If you had to balance that, I would imagine as a head shop or as a smoke shop owner, having constant rules and zoning things within your cities you had, like what has that been like trying to regulate current events in news, but also bottom line P&L?
Well,
it is one of those shows again. Dustin, we got nothing from you right now. Yeah, I know. I can see your eyes are rolling. It is just one of those things.
I'm like, why they don't like us? I'm like, I like talking to y'all. I'm like, y'all need to come hang out. Why is the universe messing with our good mojo?
I agree. Here's what I know. At some point, Tamara Anderson with Culinary and Cannabis.com, when Dee and Dustin are able to get out to the West Coast in LA, we are having an in-person, maybe a little smoke sesh, as they say, kind of hanging out, enjoying some of that adult use Cali tree out there. So I know for sure, I can already tell based off the technologically struggling conversations that the three of us seem to have. We have multiple conversations with lots of people, no really technical issues. Last time we had, there you're back, Dustin. Last time we had Tamara Anderson on, a little bit of a struggle. It's one of those things, but we're going to make it through. We got it back a little bit here, Dustin. We're trying to talk about, your opinion or kind of how you have balanced in the past.
Can you hear me now? At least let's test one.
Yeah, copy go.
Okay, so when you put it into perspective as a business owner, you realize you have a team surrounding you. You don't have this luxury of always making it up as you go, because the decision I make today manages and has certain things that are added to that 6 months from now, a year from now. They have repercussions to every decision, and so being up to date gives you this idea to see a little bit into the future, to kind of get a grasp of where things are going in order to guarantee that you can maintain your staff, maintain the business in general. But I do think that there is this fine line, and I think it goes with any type of creative or any type of artist, anyone who is doing something on their own that represents something personally. I think that there comes a point when you don't want that much outside influence. You don't want to hear or see someone else's artwork and all of a sudden start attributing that to your own style. And I think that there is a fine balance to owning some of the things you read and hear, and also being able to push some of that away and say, I need to focus on me. I need to focus on what this future holds for us as it stands, and not these nuances of, ooh, some new news is happening or some maybes.
Do you keep up, Tamara, with like competitors? If there's a new cannabis event company, is that something you are like Googling daily, or you try to put blinders on and focus on your events, because you're not the only cannabis event company, and there's going to be more cannabis event companies. Some will model after you. Some may be direct ripoffs of you. Is that something in the competitor lane? How has that been for you as California's gone through a legalization?
First of all, I think that there's more than enough to go around. I don't think that there are enough cannabis event production companies that are focused on B2C, first of all. So I don't necessarily watch my competitors or people that do similar things to me. I would actually like to consider, I reach out to them for collaboration more than even competition. There has been a lot of trying to duplicate what I do or we do. Literally, I have people that have come to my events, say they want to volunteer, they want to help, and then they come to one event, and then the next 3 months you'll see them, oh, we're doing something spa-like. And I'm like, you wasn't thinking about that before.
No.
And I also don't have a problem with people like reaching out and saying that I want to like mentor you because I want to do something. We literally have, there's a lady in Fellows in New Orleans who wants to open a cannabis order. So I'm like, I don't have a problem. I just respect of what I've done so far and the things that I've created, giving me the respect for that. But there's more than enough to go around. I would appreciate people to create the type of experience that I have in other places where I can't be.
Yeah, we are. Just to let you know, tomorrow we're having some technical issues with you, because of course we are. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to try it one more time. I think we've done it before. I'm going to have Tamara drop out. If you can just kind of drop out, go ahead and exit this call. I'm going to bring you back in a few minutes. So drop out, trying to bring back into the link. It happens. We appreciate everyone being patient as we work through these audio issues. How about you, Dustin? When you were running the smoke shop, the only smoke shop in your area, there's actually one down the road. And I know we've talked a little bit about the competition, but maybe just in general, kind of strategy wise. And Tamara, if you can hear us, you can feel free to exit that thing out, or Dustin, maybe we'll just get her out and then bring her back in if you want to grab that into there. And so when you are doing that shop, would you find it mandatory to kind of keep up on the competitors? Do you get anxious when you're like, oh my God, they got 15% off. Should I go 16? Price is right then. Like, how has it been in a, smoke shop's been around for a long time. It's a competitive industry. It's a high turnover. It's a loyalty business, as we discussed. What was it like for you in your kind of chasing the Joneses or keeping up with the Joneses in your industry?
You can definitely tell the divide between smoke shop owners who stopped looking at the news and the articles and the trends and kind of became in their own right a dinosaur of the industry. And, if you think about the last 10 years of the smoking industry, the bulk of the innovations, the bulk of the changes have actually been happening now, the last 5, the last 7. And so, smoke shops could have done the same damn thing, the same tapestries, the same style pipes, the same momentum, for 25 years up until recently. And I don't think that you have a choice. If you're in the industry, you better be looking at the trends. You better be seeing what new products, what new brands, what are the customers asking for and why? Because as your customer base continues to become the most educated than they've ever had in any industry, and a very particular kind of customers who just know what they're looking for more and more. Yes, I don't think you have the choice anymore. You have to. To stay competitive doesn't mean to watch the trends, though. I mean, I think a lot of businesses are designed and started because they solve one really, really simple thing. Whether that is, oh, I believe my customer service, the customer service in my area is in a bubble, is in some type of black hole. It just doesn't exist. I can separate myself by providing exceptional customer service.
Yeah.
I also think that, as these companies are scaling, your staffing, your messaging, the reasons why you do things are literally becoming the least common denominator. What is the least trained I can have my staff to do this one particular job? What is the most basic movements or things to finish this sale across the board over, doing something innovative or extensive? So I think in the world of common denominators, it's really not that hard to set yourself apart.
With that, let's bring back in Tamara. Tamara, I feel like that's a better connection right now. I feel solid.
Yes, I was like, let me change devices. So I think this is better. This is the winner.
We are well better. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. We're gonna make this all work. We're gonna get through this together. We appreciate it. So Dustin and I were talking a little bit before you left off, kind of about those competitors and keeping up with them. When you were kind of creating the branding with culinaryycannabis.com or with cannaspaparty.com, did you have an inspiration that you wanted to use? Were you just kind of tapping into your artistic needs? Did you find someone and hire them? How did your, the whole design, if you go to culinaryycannabis.com or cannaspaparty.com, there's some unique websites. By the way, I'm just going to do this right now. That's Slow Jam when you click on cannaspaparty.com. I'm doing my Slow Jam beat voice right now. Dustin and I were visiting cannaspaparty.com a little bit. I don't know why I got Southern. A little before this, and I'll tell you, Tamara Anderson, it got a little sexy when you hit that site. So you're but it's mood setting. It's exactly what I said. I'm like, as soon as I clicked on cannaspaparty.com, I was in the mood to be a little more loose, a little more free. I don't know why. So how was the branding evolution? I'm curious, as someone who's kind of striking it out, was that your vision or did you have help? How did you build those two brands, both culinaryycannabis.com and cannaspaparty.com?
Okay, so my mentor in event planning and the event space has been an event planner for 20, 30 years, right? But she does luxury events. So I only know or I appreciate luxury type of experiences and luxury type of events, right? Like I appreciate that. Like that's the aesthetic that I like. I that's what I want. So a lot of the things that are created are things out of my own selfish wants, needs, and desires. We'll say that first.
Sure.
The name truly came from my coworker, who was a nurse who had nothing to do with cannabis. We went through names for I think 2 or 3 months before we came up with a name. Now I know I never put cannabis in there, but whatever.
Welcome to the party.
Right. That came out of, just out of that. And our original purpose was just to educate on cooking and provide education to people on how to cook. Originally, that was just, just a small, that was the main thing, but showing, cannabis culinary experiences in a highlighted professional cordon bleu trained chef appearance is what we were going for with.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those shows, right? It's follow these connection. Tamara Anderson. We're going to just keep saying culinaryycannabis.com, cannaspaparty.com. Your connection at the event will be better than Tamara Anderson's connection with our show. I promise you that. It is an amazing thing. You go click on cannaspaparty.com right now. I just thought maybe you were going to go click on cannaspaparty.com, Tamara, just to get the vibe going right in the car.
I'm not that tech savvy. But I'll say Canna Party definitely is a vibe, right? It is
absolutely. It's awesome.
We want you to feel relaxed. We want you to feel welcome. We want you to feel open. We want you to feel like, I say it's like a jazz experience in a box. When I want you to know that when you look at our site, it's the mood. So we come to you, it is the ultimate mood. Like it, we want you to be told, we want you to fall asleep and have the best sleep of life once we leave. We want to put everybody to bed.
Ambiance, right?
Yeah.
How often did you spend, Dustin, in like the smoke shop, like setting ambiance? Like, is there music? Did you put on like too much rock and the rock is too hard? Like, what is ambiance in the smoke shop?
This is not a joke. There are two Pacific artists that we would play in the store, and they would instantly, throughout a day, any given day, no matter what day it was, increase sales by 20%.
You had hold on a second. What musical styles that you feel made sales?
Holy shit! DJ Cam Quartet, if you're out there right now and you're somehow fucking listening to this shit, you made us an additional $45,000 in sales a year specifically off of your one album. And yes, 100%. Music without words, upbeat certain things that have quicker movements and still more urgency to buy. There's also 100% atmosphere. Cultivating an atmosphere matters. I think, and music matters. One of the things I always thought was most powerful about what Tamara is doing is she is able to curate the story. An event is not just you land here, you're standing around, that's the story. There are progressions throughout an event of where you're sending the people, what is the mood we're going for. And I think, as you curate these stories more, yes, you 100% notice those differences. And yes, music is single-handedly the biggest play to increase your sales in any retail store.
What's the go-to spa music? Is it just non-lyrics? Is that important?
I think it depends on the guest and what they're doing. Some people might want spa music, which is okay. But then you might want some Marvin Gaye. We are talking. It depends. You might want some girl empowerment, music. So it depends. There's not a specific. I think that when your guests enter, especially with the parties, right? Because they're personalized. When you get the vibe from them, you will see what kind of music that they need to get to for them to relax and to feel in that space. I think that it's kind of different for everyone. It's not the same. Like, these events are to cater to you and to cater to your guests, to create what is a relaxing experience for you. We just want to add the flower and our special touch. That's it.
We talked about some, you actually made mention of you wouldn't have had cannabis in your name had you gone back. What are some other things that you think, when you went to brand, what are some bad ideas that you have learned that you probably you wouldn't do again, or you would like to warn some of these other, entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting something? Because we definitely know that pain point of having cannabis in the name.
Yeah, and I'm still hard-headed because I have Canna spa parties. I'm just,
it's so hard.
You had a second chance, and you're like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm doing it again.
She did have another shot.
What happened is I'm already known with that name, so it's like, how do I transition? How do you transition out of it? So one, not having the name cannabis in your brand. Not even having, I would say, even in your branding, having a leaf in your brand. Not even having that. Everything don't got to be green. Although mine are purple. You just change it purple and green. Everything doesn't have to be purple and green. And I also think that everything doesn't. I just think that everything should be elevated to the level of mainstream, whatever you're doing. Just because we're the plant, we don't have to do. I'm real picky on graphics and stuff, and I'll be seeing people's graphics look like graffiti from when I was in high school. This is a brand or a business. Make it look like a brand or a business professionally. Just because your brand got a monkey don't lead. It looks like can we just take all of it to an elevation of mainstream? We're going to eventually go mainstream. Everything is going to be mainstream. If you want to be respected in that manner, if you want to be able to have your stuff eventually on commercials and in stores and in those kind of things, it needs to look commercial friendly. And I think that a lot of times brands are afraid of that because they I don't know. They think that they still need to look legacy. Like, let it go.
I think that's a big
love
part
that.
of it. I think especially, and I think you sit in a slightly different ancillary to that. I think for example, Dustin and smoke shops, I think if you lean far away, you do that fear of I'm losing the core smoker, that stoner person, like they may be turned off on it. But I think what you're looking at with both culinaryancannabis.com and cannaspaparty.com is definitely this elevation. But I think what you described exactly, Tamara, is what cannabis companies struggle with when it comes to branding. You want to make sure that you sell and remind people we got weed, right? You want to just say that we are cannabis, we're cool, we're down. But when you try to elevate it, you have the sellout factor. And I think that sellout factor is real. If you go on social media, the sellout factor of, hey, this person is just growing it. Oh my God, they're going to not let that harvest go one more extra week to pop those trichomes. How fucking dare they? I'm so mad about that right now. But you got to get other harvests in, and you got 19 harvests and 100 employees. And well, a week is a week. And so this whole conversation happens again and again. And so it's interesting, in your state, right, has seen that. The early days of dispensaries and such in California were a much different experience, and places like Harborside early on tried it, but they've grown. And I'm sure where you go, Tamara, that you have some that are probably seedier, some that are more, tie-dyed and all that, and some that are Apple Store-ish, right? Do you have a preference? Do you like to go that, or do you like the more Apple Store-ish dispensary, the upscale one?
As far as dispensaries, no, I do not have a preference. I have a preference on
which one's got cannabis.
The products that I like, right? If you have the products or the brands that I like, I have a preference with that. But as far as like the store, nah, I don't have a preference with that. I just wish that we would get out of the space of things we have to and need to look so grimy. Like, it's a business. Like, and I think that we also underestimate our consumers, because our consumers go to Target. If your consumers are Target, they're going to go to Target. If they're Walmart, they're going to go to Walmart. I think that we underestimate them and don't give them enough credit by saying we need to have this low budget crap.
Well, how do we talk about... I'm sorry, Tamara.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I was going to say, how do we talk about this mainstream cannabis being mainstream when we still have names like Alaskan Thunderfuck and Cat Piss and Grandpa's Breath and Green Crack? And how do you maintain that balance of, like, we are grown now. I don't need to be smoking something called Cat Piss just because you wanted to differentiate yourself, or we needed a new way to trademark a name that hasn't been in existence out there or something. And I do think, like, how do you see that fitting in? And also, in all of mainstream anything, there are the extremes of the mainstream. There are the ones who do it every day and the ones who do it once a month. And how do you account for all of them?
First of all,
and still keep it clean.
First of all, one of the things that we do for our consumers is not even telling them don't even worry about the name of what you're getting. Ask, can you read the profile? Because even if it's the same, it has a different name. It might be the same strain and have the same profile. It might be here this year and gone the next year, right? So not even giving a fuck what the name is. What is the flower profile if I'm doing flower? So first of all, we teach them that. And I don't even necessarily mean like the names of stuff and the things like that. I mean that having clean, good looking logos, even if it is a monkey, right? Just like whatever Snoop's NFT is, right? His NFT looks clean, it looks professionally done, but it's still a fucking monkey. But it is a nice monkey versus, I don't even want to say, but just versus some other ones where it looked like, somebody just drew it and then that's the logo that you made. That's the distinction that I made.
Yes, so not a little bit of money.
A difference in that, but like, create good quality products. Whatever you're doing, make them look good and quality. Even if the name of it is Grandpa's Butt. Can I get a professional Grandpa's Butt? You know what I mean? Can I get a professional?
Draw a nice Grandpa's behind.
That is what I mean. That's what I mean by being mainstream. Us just being in the line of having professionalism. So maybe mainstream is the wrong line, but having professionalism across the board. Even if I'm going to black market or legacy dispensary, which I do go to, I want to see those similar things, because in my vision, hopefully those that are legacy will get the opportunity to go to go mainstream, right? And that's a big transition that you have to go through, going from one. If you have to go through all the rebranding process, but if you start on that leg already, it's an easier transition for you. If that's where eventually, I mean, there'll always be black market, but eventually.
Yeah, it's just one of those things they continue to balance the other side. And it's funny you mentioned professionalism, Tamara, because one of the other things that comes up a lot with cannabis companies, and I would imagine with yours, and I think about this, I worry sometimes, like when you have an event like this and you have people consuming, how have you dealt with, say, like risk management and trying to prevent issues from happening, overindulgence? Like, how do these things, culinary and cannabis, you're helping people do this. It can go from 0 to 60 very fast with an edible, right? An edible can turn, it can be a smooth wave and just a pounding thunderstorm within minutes of each other. And then all of a sudden it's Tuesday. So how have you dealt with that kind of aspect of dealing with something that has different psychoactive effects on people, and then trying to balance that with insurance and the cannabis? How's that been on the risk aversion and risk management side of it?
Well, like our first event that we produced, that was our first food and wine event, right? All of the food was infused with CBD or hemp. There was no THC edible.
Okay.
Because we wanted to give people the opportunity to taste the infusion, because there's no difference in taste between CBD and THC. It's just a difference of effect. Now, if you need to, have it infused with THC, now you are introduced to a chef that knows how to properly dose what they're cooking so that you have a good experience. As far as like when we do our events and do our other events and we have edibles, usually I only have one drink vendor, one dessert vendor, one savory food vendor. They are told to microdose, even if on a regular their dosaging is higher. When you do the event, properly dose so that people, 4 or 5 milligrams. So if they want to taste everything, they can taste everything. Now, we have had people that don't listen to instructions, that do not listen. And like our first event we did in Coachella, we had this lady, her name was Betty.
Oh, Betty.
Betty was over 70. Betty was like, I know what I'm doing. I served everybody their drinks, and I had the stuff put up. Oh no, Betty went in there and got her a couple of more of these drinks. And Betty ended up staying the night at the facility, and we had to call a taxi to take her home.
Oh, Betty.
Betty didn't listen.
Good for you, Betty.
Betty didn't listen, but I wouldn't let her go home. We put her in a place that she was safe. We gave her vitamin B. We gave her CBD to help balance it. But that's another reason why our events are so small, so that if somebody doesn't listen, then I am able to be hands-on and be attentive to them, because we all have people that think that they're Superman or Superwoman and are invincible. They are out there. I will not act like they are not out there. They are out there. But along this journey, I've learned things to help them get through that process, because they don't listen. But yeah, that's how we handle it. That's how we handle it.
I think we all have a friend who's like,
Betty.
Oh, you know what? I
awesome.
take one and he takes 2 every time. He's like, oh, my body needs twice as much. Always.
Well, here's what I want to know, because this is my question, Dustin. For example, I've run a few events. I've worked as a DJ and stuff. And I equate this to the person who comes up and says, hey, can you play this song? Everyone's going to love it. It'll light up the dance floor. And then you put it, in your brain, it's not a good song. I've done 100 of these. I know what the song's going to do. You put it on, and then like Moses in the Red Sea, it's like the floor departs. And I know in cannabis, I had a very similar situation. I was recently gifted a cookie that was infused with some products. And the guy looked at me and said, this is strong. And I kind of did the eye roll. He's like, no. I know. You see me. He kind of looked like Dustin, just total stoner starter kit 101. He's like, no. Look, bro, I smoke weed all day, every day. Look at me. He literally did this. This is strong. So like to really hammer it home, because I know this for a fact, Tamara, and this is what I want to kind of get to with the risk aversion. there's always a Betty, right? And they're not always sweet old ladies, right? They're always a Betty who's like, I smoke weed all day. I've been doing legacy. Like, my name is Humboldt. Like, all these other things, right? Like, I've been hanging with Jack Harrison. Like, there are these people who, like, I grew Washington's hemp. Like, they're all into it and they just refuse. And that's the problem with edibles. As we said, the speed ramps up. So I would imagine, no names, although we already name dropped Betty. Do you have like another story? Like, those are my favorite, like, horror stories. Do you have a story that you learned a lesson from, but is also hilarious to tell?
I mean, they're all like, every time I do an event, I learn a lesson. I will tell you, which they're going to be mad at me, because my staff, literally, I was having, so I have this lady.
We love our staff. We love you, staff.
I'm not going to tell them the staff because they'll watch this. But yes. I have a friend who went with us to New York to do the event in New York. She was a brand owner. She's a little bit older than me. She's gotten to the cannabis space because I helped her get into the cannabis space. But she's, again, one of these people that I'm like, be careful. Don't be careful. So we had an infused brunch by Hawaii Mike from Chef for Hire. Holla. One of my favorite chefs.
All I know is, by the way, Tamara, as you're talking about this, I'm just like getting hungrier and hungrier. Like, like the food you describe, it's not like some cookies. It just sounds amazing. CulinaryCannabis.com. That's some great, like, you're shouting off chefs. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I have to do a raffle for him, but we'll do that later. So we had an infused brunch, and he usually finishes it off with a dessert that's infused, right? But the desserts are so good that you want to eat like 1, 2, 3, and that's his like banana pudding. So she was like, I ate one and it was really good, so I had another one. Mind you, she had a whole infused brunch before. She was sitting in the hallway. We were at Happy Monkey's lounge is where we did the event, and you get off the elevator and they have like a lounge area, and so we had like a check-in desk and like 3 to 4 seats. I go to check and she's sitting in the chair that looks like a throne, and she just looks like a mummy. She's just and she's like, I can't move, and I'm like, what did you do? I ate 3 of the puddings. I was like, what? I told you. I don't know how many times I told. Like, don't play with his food is properly dosed. You get one because you only need one. Why you with your greedy ass? That's what you get with your greedy self. But she was like,
it happens. We all know those people, Dustin. You know them. I feel like you're a person, Dustin, who's pretty good about saying know when to say when. But I have to think in all this time of being so deep in this industry, that guy or that Betty. But there may be a Betty from now on. It's a great thing. We all know a Betty, and usually Betty does end up on the floor at some point because especially when you get knee deep in the edibles.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I love it. I definitely know those guys. They're listening right now and they're like, what do you mean? I smoke a gram a day of my oil.
It's
you. Tamara, if you could leave any of our listeners off on something positive, something you're excited for besides hanging out with Grandma today.
Grandma! Shout out to Grandma. Tamara's in the car. Grandma, you are saying hello. We're saying hi to you.
Is there anything that you would like to say to everybody at the end of all this?
First, don't take yourself too seriously. Yep. Don't take life too seriously. Enjoy it as much as you possibly can. And make sure to come to a Culinary Cannabis experience if you get the opportunity, because they're amazing.
Well, I have to tell you, first, Tamara Anderson from CulinaryCannabis.com, CannaSpaParty.com. Both of those links will be in there if you're in California. And it's any adult use state. Is that correct? Any adult use state?
Yeah, we can go to any adult use state, both recreational and medicinal. We just modify the event to satisfy wherever we are. This year we will be doing our big event in June in LA, and then we'll be out in New York in August. So if you're on the West Coast, come see us in June. If you're on the East Coast, make sure you see us in New York. You could drive. We might get a hotel floor so people could come out, but that's what we'll be having coming up, in the next this year. Those are the plans for this year. But we can host events in any recreational or medicinal state. If there's someone who has a venue and would like for us to come and host an event, we will. Just because venues are the most costly thing when you do events. But if you got a space and you want us to host an event, let's talk about it. Let's collaborate. Let's grow together.
I love
open.
it. I hope I have a dream tomorrow. Right now, I want to smoke with you and Dustin and I and just hang out. That sounds like a fantastic time. I think our smoke sesh. I need to have the thought of a whole infused brunch with banana pudding sounds yummy. It sounds yummy and delicious. Tamara Anderson, culinaryancannabis.com, cannaspaparty.com. Thank you for coming back on the show. I'm glad we got the last half hour. Awesome. Got all our technical glitches out. So thank you so much. We will see you again.
Tamara.
Hopefully.
You are amazing.
Culinaryancannabis.com. Everybody else out there, make sure you visit Meet at MeetWM socially, Wayward.media. Subscribe to the show, all those good things. We will be back next week, everyone. Later, Gators.